Hi, I'm Mary.
And I'm Katie, and this is The Housewife Did It.
Pop Culture Edition. If you like our show, please tell everyone you have ever met about it and make sure that you are subscribed or following us wherever you listen and give us 5-star reviews because it helps people to find our show.
Mm-hmm. And
And
because
then,
we deserve it.
right, here's how that helps you. We get money
And we can keep doing this.
when we can keep doing this and getting better
Uh-huh.
at it.
Yeah.
And then we can do things like have studios or go to Crime Con or
Mm-hmm.
get real merch
Mm-hmm.
or things.
Mm-hmm.
So it's for you.
Mm-hmm.
Help us help you.
Help us justify not going to bed as early as we would like on Friday nights.
Yes. I used to go to bed at seven
Yes.
o'clock on Friday nights, which is crazy.
Embarrassing.
But like it is like I think it's like the fact that I can go to bed that early because then I can wake up whenever I want and I can take naps all day on Saturday if needed. And like I just have it's the relief
Mm-hmm. Of just
that
listening
I'm
to your
free.
body. Uh-huh.
I'm free of these little people.
Mm-hmm.
And but now I've committed my entire Saturday to them.
Yeah.
So
That's your fault, not the podcast listeners. But
yeah, well I was just going to go see cheerleading. But then one of my boys was like, "What about soccer? The cheerleaders don't cheer for soccer, and I'm playing soccer." And I was like, "Okay,
awesome.
I guess I'll be at soccer too."
I love soccer.
And he's the only one. I have like 3 or 4 on the cheerleading team. I only have one soccer player, but whatever. He said you could come see me make a goal because I'm the best one on the team.
You freaking better. If I'm there.
The talk he has talked up about himself. He's the only second grader on the team, youngest on the team, and he's like, I'm better than everybody. I'm I'm carrying that team on my back.
Mm,
So if he's not good,
prove it.
I'll have some questions.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Alrighty. Is anyone else watching Vanderpump Villa? Because at first I was like, a Hulu Lisa Vanderpump show? This is
Mhm.
gonna be trash. Gonna be janky. I am
Mhm.
so sucked in.
Yeah, it's
First,
so good.
like, a really great move to give us 3 episodes
Mhm.
at once. Um, and you'd think Billy would feel grateful for that, but after he watched 3, he was like, "They're not gonna give me the whole season."
That's
He's
it.
obsessed. Um,
I think Sammy said the same thing. He was like, is that the last one they have?"
mhm,
And then we started watching Apples Never Fall on
mm,
Peacock, which is also so good. And now and Sammy like I'm watching that and I'm so bought into that and he's like, "Did they put the whole fucking season out?" And I'm
mhm,
like, "Yeah."
yeah. I don't think we need like a recap because it's brand new
Mm-mm.
people that no one really knows. But I do want to know if other people are watching, other Vanderpump people. So let us know that somewhere,
Yes.
somehow. It is so interesting that it's like VPR meets Below Deck
That's what
because
Sammy said.
yeah, well Billy said it and I was like, more like Southern Hospitality, but I didn't realize at the time they were living together.
Yeah.
But yeah, they all work and live together
Hmm.
in this French chateau. So it's like,
Especially like the scene where Gabriella and Andre like go out to get like the
yes,
cake and they're
yes.
like traveling through like they're like, "Oh, this is so cute, like
That's
this
what I
chill
thought
French
too.
area." I was like, "That's
Yeah.
exactly like Below Deck."
Yeah, and it's like all the drinking on the job drama, the ex-boyfriend and girlfriends working together drama. Um, Apparently it's just a thing that the chef will want to stay out of the drama. Good for them. But it's all the same vibes.
Yeah.
Very nice.
I am also watching it and loving it. I saw someone call Hannah and Marciano the Timu version of Jackson Stassi, which I
Yeah.
thought was funny. My only disagreement is that I don't like Hannah.
Yes, but I will say, and you were different, but most people did not like Stassi in
Yeah,
season 1.
I was
Um,
obsessed with Stassi.
so I think like same vibes in that way.
Yeah. I
Being a
do.
season 1 Stassi apologist is kind of unheard of.
Yeah, I think next week maybe we can start recapping once the episodes become regular because it is so good and I hope everyone is watching it. So far I really like Grace, Gabriella, Andre, and Steven. Um, I think in the spirit of being more like people who didn't like Stassi in season 1 of Vanderpump Rules, I'm starting to gravitate towards the less dramatic people.
Yeah.
Um, and and like when she told Andre he was doing such a good job and just like immediately tears, I was
Mhm.
like, "Oh, sweet, so sweet." I really don't like Telly. I don't like her.
Well, I actually,
Um,
when it first started, I was like, oh my God, like she is the Stassi. Like, how did that
yes,
happen? Like, I was like, she is like awful to them.
she
And then Hannah
like
came in, decided to join the show, and I was
yeah.
like, oh, okay.
But I will say the scene between Hannah and Grace made me like, oh, like maybe Hannah's not that bad. She's just a little like, um,
She's been jaxed.
yeah, I was gonna say like she is. I feel like with specifically with Priscilla, is that her name?
Yes.
Specifically with her, I feel like it's it all comes from a place of like I got cheated on and like it was traumatic and I'm
Hmm.
having a terrible time responding to it.
It was when Sheena was talking to Jax on the Pride float,
Mhm.
and Stassi lost her marbles.
Right. Like yeah. So I don't really like Hannah, but
I
I
do
do
love
feel like
Andre.
I feel like Hannah is fine with people she doesn't feel threatened by.
Hmm.
And the
Yeah.
reason she feels threatened is because her ex-boyfriend fucked other people that were not her.
Hmm. Fair.
Yeah,
Trauma.
understood.
A I guess we'll keep having these. I don't know until we don't. But another update from Quiet on Set.
Mhm.
Matthew Underwood, who played Logan on Zoe 101, posted that he and his family were being harassed to release a statement about the docu-series, whatever. He says that
Mhm.
people were reaching out telling him that they hope that he and his mom die, calling him a pedophile defender. So he not like reluctantly, but a little begrudgingly shared that he was groomed and sexually assaulted by his best friend's stepfather when he was 12. And then at 19, he was sexually harassed and assaulted by his agent.
Mhm.
He says that his agent was fired subsequently, but is still someone in the industry. So would not say who it was. Mm-hmm. But he was very clear that he has never had a bad experience on Nickelodeon sets or with Dan Schneider. And he asked everyone to chill and
Mhm.
understand that people might have lots of reasons for not
Leave
speaking
his
on that.
mother alone.
Yeah.
Like we didn't learn from Kate Middleton to stop
Yeah.
bugging everyone. Also, I think it's worth pointing out that like Drake Bell was also adamant about never having a bad experience with Dan Schneider. And so like I one, we don't know if he knew any of the people that they actually like found to be guilty of child sexual assault. We don't know that Matthew Underwood knew those people or worked with those people at all. And the one person we do know he worked with, while we believe he's kind of a shitty person, Drake Bell also said the main guy from this was like, I love Dan Schneider.
Yeah.
But also I think it makes sense that he did not have a bad experience on Zoe 101 specifically because he did the Zoe 101 movie. And we know like Alexis Nicola like would never have done that movie. But also I've seen a lot of people saying like people are like, "Oh, it's so nice that Drake Bell still sings the Drake and Josh theme song at his concerts now that we know like he's doing that for us and for like our nostalgia even though it was traumatic for him." And other people were like, but he's like shared that like that show was his safe place. Like
I was gonna say, I
this
don't
was
think Drake and Josh was traumatic for him.
it was his big break. It was immediately after everything that had happened and the court dates and everything had like played out. And he really like loved everyone on that show. But another update, so sorry, is the people are now posting videos of a guy from the show The Thundermans, which I think was after we were not watching Nickelodeon anymore. But it is also a Dan Schneider show, and people are posting videos of this guy from The Thundermans, and basically that he was like a Jerry trainer on their show, and like videos of him like yelling at Dan Schneider or there's one where he was yelling at everyone because there was someone, I think they're like their zipper was down or something, and he was like basically he's like, zip your zipper, and then everyone was like laughing and he was like, no, there are like kids around, like we don't need everybody's pants undone. There are kids on this set. It's not funny. Just zip up your zipper, like chill out. um but also people said that the two of them, him and Jerry Trainer, would go onto sets of other shows, and like wherever like Dan Schneider went, they would go on those sets and kind of like watch out for the kids that weren't even on their shows with them. So that's nice.
Yeah.
That's cute.
Because it's like on the one hand, like you could say, like, then why work for someone like that? And
Yeah.
that's like
But on the other
fair,
hand,
but also who would be looking out for them then?
right, you can't stop working for them now.
P. Diddy updates. He posted a photo of his daughter for Easter, and the next day he had lost almost 22,000 followers. He turned off the comments, so like we can't for sure know why they unfollowed, but they made their comments anyway by unfollowing.
Here's my thought is like these 22,000 people did not realize that they still followed P. Diddy.
They
And then
said,
he
"Oh,
posted a picture for Easter and they said, shit, I gotta unfollow this guy.
yeah, I'm not into this."
Bold of you to make any kind of Instagram post.
Yeah.
In a
Just
time like this.
casual. Ashton Kutcher could be subpoenaed. Cuba Gooding Jr. and Young Miami have been implicated.
People are saying Ashton Kutcher needs to get better friends.
Yeah, I would say so. Or we should all watch out for Ashton Kutcher.
Which is like I said this about Danny Masterson, is so disappointing because of where Ashton Kutcher has like invested all of his time and energy in like trying to combat like sex trafficking and child sexual abuse, and then we find out that like he's good enough friends with these people to be writing statements for them or going to court for them.
Yeah.
We were tricked.
Two times too many, Ashton. I'm on to you. There is a video of Diddy hugging Justin Bieber that is a little suspect. He is clearly checking to see if Justin is wearing a wire before whispering something in his ear, like a thorough check for a wire. Uh, then I saw an interview with Usher. He had lived with Diddy for a year when he was 13. But the most he said on the interview was that there were curious things taking place that he did not understand at the time. And he said, that is all I will be saying, which could be because he's going to be subpoenaed.
Which, like, it reminds me of, like, when we did Kara Robinson and she said, like, there were adult things in his house. Like, at 13, you're like, I don't know how I feel about that, but, like, I
Mm-hmm.
don't know what it is.
Yeah. And other famous people updates. Gypsy Rose Blanchard first deleted all of her public social media accounts, alarm bells right away.
Mm-hmm.
Then announced she was separating from her husband and has now been seen allegedly
Mm-hmm.
getting matching tattoos with a former fiance of hers.
Yeah, my friend texted me and she said, did you hear about Gypsy Rose? And I said, about, like, the divorce stuff? And she was like, well, now she's, like, back with her ex. And I said, what? What ex?
Mm-hmm.
That ex? That was my concern. But it was an ex she met while in prison. Also, have you seen the pictures of the tattoos?
Mm-mm.
They're
So not
unicorns.
alleged anymore?
No, they're unicorns.
Interesting. She did also announce today that she is getting a nose job. Get it, girl. Whatever you need to do.
Yeah, get your bag, but, like, I hope it wasn't
She
because
just,
people are mean.
yeah, I think what I read, the statement I read was like, I like am making, like, I've had such a huge life change. Like, why not have
Mm-hmm.
a physical one? You know? Um, and I
Go get
thought
my
when,
unicorn tattoo and a little
hmm
nose.
I read that statement and I thought, oh my God, she's gonna be on Ozempic. Like what? Like that's the physical change. And then it was like a rhinoplasty, and I was like, okay, fine.
Yeah.
Whatever, girl.
Yeah. On RuPaul's Drag Race this week, Morphine finally went home. I mean, like, honestly, at this point, who couldn't have seen that coming? Because who else was it gonna be? Uh, so
Bless you.
thank you. That leaves the final four as Nymphia, Plain Jane, Saphira, and Q. And I've kind of, like, been in the camp that it's either gonna be Nymphia or Saphira who wins, just because, like, even when they're not winning, like, they're hitting every mark. Like, I have no, like, there aren't any complaints about, like, their runways or anything. But statistically, Plain and Saphira are tied for the most amount of wins this season with 4 each. But Jane is the only one between the two of them who has not ever been in the bottom.
Mm,
So technically, Jane has more points, I guess. Um,
stats.
yes,
Better
Nymphia has
stats.
also never been in the bottom, but she has only won 2 competitions. And Q, I don't remember. Um, on the Potomac reunion, it got, like, very heated very quickly. And
Is it
so,
everything you hoped for?
well, it's only part 1 so far.
So part one's never everything you hoped for.
No. But it was good. So to catch you up because you don't watch Potomac. Um, last season, Giselle told Robin that so this is season 8. She said that in the season 6 reunion, Candace's husband Chris made her uncomfortable. This is, like, word for word what she said to Robin was like, Chris made me uncomfortable because there was a part in the reunion where Candace was very upset. And at the time, Candace and Giselle were really close. And Candace was really upset. And then Chris got really upset by her response to something. And Giselle asked if he would want to talk about it later, like asked like both of them, like we can talk later. And so she said at the season 6 reunion, he asked her to go in to a hotel room with him to talk, but he didn't want Candace to come because he was going to be talking about Candace. And she said they got in the room and he like locked the door, and she had agreed to go with him because they were going to her hotel room, and she thought that her glam team was still up there, but when they got to the room, her glam team was gone. So it was
So it was
just the
like
two of them.
a room that someone already had, not like
Yes. Yeah.
okay.
So it was like it was like her like hotel room for the reunion, I
Yeah.
guess. And she's like, "Yeah, we can go to my room." And she was like expecting her hair and makeup to still be there, and they weren't. And when they got in there, Chris locked the door, and then they had this conversation. And she said
Which,
that made
like,
her
in
uncomfortable.
someone's defense, like a hotel door, you do a kind of immediately lock. Like it's not,
Yeah.
you know.
And I don't, and she said, like, I don't think it was intentional, but the reason it was brought up
Just
is
weird.
because he had DM'd um Ashley and told at like 3 in the morning and told her to come to the hotel that he worked at and see him like at the restaurant at like 3 a.m. And the reason Giselle brought this up is because Ashley was uncomfortable with that
Mhm.
DM, and she told Candace, and Candace was like, "Well, he was first of all, he was responding to your story. It wasn't like he just slid into your DMs and you were posting at 3 a.m. So it was a
Mhm.
pretty immediate response, and he was still working, and he wants money. So
Mhm.
that makes sense. And Candace didn't mind. But so then it brought up this other thing that Giselle was like, I was also uncomfortable by him. And the part that I think like really got Candace was Giselle called Chris a sneaky link.
Mm.
And so she's saying, like, I don't think it was an intention to make me uncomfortable, but he moves like a sneaky link. And so it just caused like a rift between them. The season 7 reunion was a lot about that. But then this season has been like a lot about that as well,
Mhm.
because it came to light in season 7 that this happened. So now the reason it's like still relevant is because Candace and Giselle are not friends at all. But Candace and Robin were really close, and Robin defended Chris. She told Giselle, she's like, I don't think you should be calling him a sneaky link. I don't think that he did anything intentionally to make you uncomfortable. I think that you felt uncomfortable, and that's fine for you to feel that way, but it's not because of him. It's because of the situation. Because Giselle kept saying, like, I don't want to be in an empty hotel room with a married man. Like, I just, with the door locked, like, I don't. And so
Mhm.
Robin was like defensive of Chris, that it was Giselle who was uncomfortable and not Chris that made her uncomfortable. Um, but this season, there was a big issue between Candace and Robin that they were not friends anymore. So that's the backstory. So on the reunion, Andy asks about like the potential for Candace and Robin to be friends again, for the potential for Giselle and Candace to be friends again, and they make it like very clear that that will not be happening. No one will be reconciling with Candace. And then and he asks her like why it's so like unforgivable for her, and she says that Giselle accused her husband of sexual assault. And she just keeps saying, like, why would I be friends with someone who accused my husband of sexual assault? And the other women, and especially Karen, because Karen is a spokesperson for, I don't remember what it's called, but for an organization that like raises money for victims of sexual assault. And we also learned this season that Mia was sexually assaulted as a teenager. We've learned that Robin was sexually assaulted in college. Karen was sexually assaulted in college. Like, a lot of the women have come forward about this because of Karen's um, connections to this organization. So they're all like, first of all, that's not what Giselle said. And like, second of all, you need to not be throwing that around left and
Mm-hmm.
right, because that's not what happened. Um, and so they keep telling her Giselle has never accused him of sexual assault. And she says that um, she was referring to a comment that Giselle made this season in her interview, where she said, like, Candace, you have to understand that I'm uncomfortable because your husband made me go into a hotel room with him and be alone with him. And she was like, you said that he made you go in there. And like, that sounds like sexual assault. And I still think, like,
I mean, it sounds like
please.
you could infer that could happen
Yeah.
next, but
But
it
I
doesn't, like, that
like,
statement
yeah.
alone is
But
not.
Giselle has been asked several times, did he do anything? Did he touch
Yeah.
you? And she's been very adamant that that's not what happened. So
Mm-hmm.
Giselle's like, I don't think I said that. And they show where she did say that. But she says, like, she clearly did not mean that he physically forced her into the room.
Right.
Like, she was like, I was, I guess, like, heated, and like, that's how I felt, was like I had to go in the room with him. But obviously, I did not mean that he put his hands on me and like dragged me into this hotel room.
Yeah.
Um, so that was like a big bulk of the reunion, I feel like, was just like getting to the bottom of that relationship. But toward the end, we do get a little bit of what I talked about last week, that I was like, what the hell? Mia does start talking a little bit about Ink and about her divorce. And I don't remember what they asked her, but then they asked her, does Ink think Jeremiah is his? And she said, yes, he's like 100% sure that Jeremiah is his son. Um, and they were like, he still thinks that, even though, and she was like, he still thinks that. And that's like where they leave us. So
Mm,
we'll see.
I
We
see.
also, yeah, we touch a little bit on Giselle's dad passing away, Ashley still not being officially divorced from Michael Darby. And she said that it's just hard because she loves him so much, and like, he was her partner for so long. And she said, I mean, I rub that man's feet every night. And they said, you're rubbing Michael's feet every night.
Still.
And then they talk about Robin's husband Juan has been under a lot of like heat this season for like not necessarily cheating on her, I guess, but like hanging out with other women, maybe in places that he shouldn't be with other women, or saying things to other women he shouldn't say to other women when he's got a wife. Um, and so then Robin is like, well, Candace, we should talk about your husband sending pictures of his limp dick to women.
Let's
And
talk about the
Candace,
husband.
the husband, and Candace was like, um, Candace's husband is white, but she is like very clear with everyone that his dick is brown. I don't know why anyone needs to know that. But so she was like, was the dick brown? Because if it wasn't, then it wasn't my husband. And she was like, it was brown. I saw it. And she was like, it wasn't him. And she said, who's photoshopping their limp dick around?
Mm-hmm.
Who's pretending
Mm-hmm.
that that's what it looks like? And so yeah, there's a lot of like out like, your husband did this and your husband did this, and a lot of that going around too.
Very fun.
Yeah, sorry, that was kind of a lot that I didn't put in there.
That's
Um,
okay.
but I was remembering things as I was going. Potomac comes on Sundays, and so I don't remember
Yeah.
half of it anymore.
Yeah. Pretty brief summer house notes.
Mhm.
Basically, we just feel really bad for Kyle Cook.
Mhm.
Um, Carl asked him to be a part of the wedding, and then he said, as a flower boy. along with Andrea and Luke. And Kyle said, so, but you're gonna have. Also, he asks Kyle this when he is sloshed. It's at the end of their party, and Kyle's like, you know that look?
Mm-hmm.
He's like, but you're gonna have groomsmen? And Carl's like, yes. And he's like, uh-huh. And he just looks so confused.
He's like, Kyle's like, you married me.
Yeah.
I gave you the highest honor
Yeah.
to participate in my wedding.
Carl kind of says in his confessionals that although she did not say these words, the reason that Kyle was chosen to be a flower boy and not a groomsman was because he could tell Lindsay didn't want him to be a groomsman.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, they were like, these are some guys in your life who aren't at groomsman status, but should be in the wedding. She stands by that, like, in the after show and stuff, that, like, they were no longer that close. Which, like, I get they weren't as close as, like, they had been.
Mm-hmm.
But his other groomsmen are, like, from Minneapolis and Cincinnati, and, like, I just can't
Mm-hmm.
imagine they're, like, that
Yeah.
close still. But whatever. On the one hand, like,
Mm-hmm.
I fully sympathize with a bride-to-be having opinions about her fiance's friends who haven't always been great to her. And, just feeling like, no, I don't want that person, like, it's her wedding too. Like, I don't want
Yeah.
that person to be standing up there with me.
But last week
But,
she was telling Kyle how much she loves him.
right. But it's like strange to me because it seems at least that Lindsay has fully accepted Kyle back into their lives.
Right.
They've talked about like how much they hang out with Kyle and Amanda at this point. Like it's just like weird. Um and then I wonder, they did not say this, but like I wondered if they thought that like Kyle would be fine with it or like, oh my god, that's so cool
Mm-hmm.
because he's like such a silly goofy party boy. They
Mm-hmm.
also haven't said like what this consisted of, and obviously they didn't have a
Yeah.
wedding, so we don't know. But like I was picturing more of like the beer guys, where it's like not
Well,
flowers, but they're like handing out beers.
so I was gonna say, a cousin of ours was a flower boy
Mm-hmm.
in a wedding, and I don't think you saw pictures because you're not on Facebook, but I did, and it was cute. He was like, it was when he was in college, and but he did like throw flower petals,
Mm-hmm.
but in the pictures you can tell like how over the top
Right.
and like funny he was making it. And so I was gonna say, like, I could see like that being like a fun thing to see Kyle do,
Mm-hmm.
and like that he has the right personality for it, and that probably it would be something like that where like it's supposed to be like
Right.
silly and funny and like
Right.
tossing petals and like just like there's a picture of our cousin, like he's like looks like he's spinning, like he's
Right.
like blowing the petals around, like I don't know, I'm assuming that's what it would be like.
Yeah. And I think like Andrea and Luke are probably good people for that too.
Mhm.
I think it like sucks that he's kind of like all of the groomsmen were friends of Carl's that we don't know. And
Mhm.
then it feels like all of these like summer house guys are like
Yeah.
relegated to this like silly role. And like I think it's probably hard for Kyle to think of himself as like just a summer house friend, like just a
Right.
TV friend to Carl.
Mhm.
But yeah, basically he was sad. Amanda was sad. Everyone kind of was sad. And like this is his best friend. And yeah, like you said, like he was not only the officiant at Kyle's wedding, but Kyle still like gave him the title of best man. Like,
Yeah.
so it just like it's like the person that's your
Mhm.
best man or whatever, like
Yeah.
them even choosing you to just be a groomsman is already a little bit like, ooh, like
Yeah.
I'm okay, but ooh. But then it's
Yeah.
like to not even be that, like, man,
Yeah.
that sucks.
Yeah, a lot of my husband's groomsmen, he was not a groomsman in their weddings, and one of them got married more recently, and we were not even invited to that wedding, and like he felt like very hurt by that because like
Mhm.
he was a part of our wedding. But yeah, I think that It stings,
Yeah.
obviously.
Lindsay also said that a part of it is that the place they were getting married was adults only. So they wouldn't be able to have flower girls,
Hmm.
as if those are a necessary piece of the wedding that needed to be replaced by grown men. Nice try,
Right.
Lindsay.
Yeah. You do like one of those things like the girls who do like their friends is like there's something blue.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't you don't have to do flower men.
Yeah,
It's okay.
it's all right. Only other takeaway is that Jesse Solomon's just kind of gross.
I didn't get to watch this episode. Why is he gross?
Um, there was just how like he's already been like, I want to be in a serious relationship, but then he like doesn't seem
Mhm.
like that's what he wants. It just like there was a scene where he like gets on the phone and takes the phone like on a FaceTime in the bathroom, and like before the door had
Mhm.
even shut, he said, "Show me a nip."
Oh.
And then he like got in bed, hopefully with the same person. Maybe not, but he got in bed that night and was like,
Mhm.
"Let me see a tit." And it was just like very weird. And then like
Mhm.
he went out with Sierra and West and
Mhm.
Danielle, and he was like, uh will you please fuck my friend? Like they're not like he was saying that like Sierra and West weren't having sex yet, and he was like, will you please fuck my friend? And it was like really weird. And
Yeah.
Sierra was like, what the fuck? But then West was like, listen, if you have a secret, like don't tell Jesse Solomon. But then he also was like, but I was kind of like, keep going, keep going. And I'm like, West,
Just stop.
stop. Don't say that.
Like it's kind of cute that you
Yeah,
want it
like
so bad, but stop it out
he
loud.
just was kind of like, I want to find out why she's not. But it was like, I don't
Yeah.
know. It was just skeevy.
Yeah.
He's just kind of gross. All right, this is the bulk of everything. On to Vanderpump Rules stuff
Mhm.
and a little bit of the Valley, but not much. So, in an E News interview, so a lot of this, we're going to start with a lot of Lala trash talking. Okay, welcome to this new era of Katie.
Mhm.
In an E News interview, Lala said that they asked who has a bigger ego, Ariana or Tom Sandoval. She says Ariana has the biggest ego, that she is blowing all of us out of the water, including me, says Lala.
Mhm.
Iggy. She
I feel
also,
like I feel like saying that is kind of big ego.
yeah.
Yeah.
She also says that at the reunion, so there's a lot of talk about this reunion, okay? It's going to be
Mhm.
apparently a shit show. But she says that they, meaning like production, Bravo, that they do something they've never done, but she thought it
Mhm.
was genius, and she said it makes her heart pound even thinking about it.
I have so many questions.
I know, I'm like,
I
at
just have
first,
genuinely no idea what that could mean.
I was like, the seating chart, but then I was like, they've already released the seating chart. So I'm like, I don't know. Are we gonna play some sort of like fucking icebreaker? Like, what is going on?
It's gonna be like a roses and thorns of
Yeah,
the
I'm like,
season?
I don't really get how you can like be creative with
Yeah,
reunions.
they're gonna have a spirit stick and no one else gets to talk.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Uh, it's gonna be like truth or drink. On Give Them Lala this week, she says that the only people who are trying to rewrite history right now are the fans, which seems just like a bad idea to say that. Um, since the fans are your livelihood. But okay. She says this because they were talking about Tom chasing after the ranch, and she was like, everyone like getting mad about that is forgetting that this is who he's always been. Like he's always been extra. And I'm like, I don't think saying like he's doing the most means that we've like rewritten history that he
Right.
like wasn't annoying before. But
Like
okay.
I think it's very clear that Tom Sandoval and the most extras
Mm-hmm.
has always been extra.
Mm-hmm.
It's the it's the like the fact that now we can see it for
The
what it is.
audacity.
That we're
Yeah.
like, oh, he's like trying like because it's for Sheena, the ranch was for Sheena, that
Mm-hmm.
he's like, oh my God, I have to go get the ranch. Like, I will hit this person with a car
Mm-hmm.
to get that fucking ranch.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the
Because I want my
desperation,
friends back.
right? The desperation with which to do it. Before we saw it and we were like, okay, like, this is a lot. But now we know that it's for the sake of, like, trying to win people back or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah. She says that after the reunion, she looks at every member of the cast very differently. This episode, she had
Except
Heather
Sheena.
McDonald. Yeah. Oh, definitely not Sheena. She had Heather McDonald on, who is like a Bravo commentator and a friend of a lot of the cast. She was basically disagreeing with Lala the entire time about Ariana. And I feel like Lala was missing it, or they're just really great at disagreeing with each other. I don't know. But she said, as a viewer, she is loving watching Ariana go off on Tom. She completely understands why Ariana doesn't want to move, even if it is as simple as, like, she's not organized enough to want to move right now. Like, she's busy. And she also says to Lala, yeah, but like having all these brand deals like doesn't make her get over the heartbreak and betrayal any faster.
Right.
And Lala continuously says, like, listen, all I did was go on this season and ask the obvious questions. Okay, whatever. She says that she's not saying she wants Ariana to get over it. Freaking burn the place down if you want. Keep being mad. But it's the fact that you still live in the house and that you got a new boyfriend within 10 days and you're not over it.
I think there's
Basically,
a
she's calling
difference.
out the hypocrisy.
Right. I think there's a difference in being over him
Mm-hmm.
and being over the situation.
Mm-hmm.
I also think that, and we're going to touch on this later, I think that hindsight is 2020. And now Ariana is looking back on a 9-year relationship and being like, I was with a disgusting ass person.
Mm-hmm.
And now he has humiliated me and betrayed me in front of the entire world. And yes, people are mad at him, but also I'm kind of embarrassed because people are
Mm-hmm.
like, why the fuck were you with him in the first place? And
Right.
so I think that you can be over Tom Sandoval because I think that the quickness with which she got the ick
Mm-hmm.
was amazing. But it was a horrible situation,
Mm-hmm.
traumatic situation,
Yeah.
and it's still going on. Like, everyone's still
Yeah.
talking about it. And like, and I've been saying, I'm one of the people who's like, I just don't get why she was dating him in the first place. He's
Sure.
horrible.
Yeah. And I think it's like I like I feel like I don't know how to say this without like just saying the obvious. Like it's a little different for Ariana to get over this than it is for
Hmm.
Sheena and Lala. And that is because like Ariana and Tom were having conversations all day every day about their future, about her vulnerabilities, about her past, about their insecurities, about there were probably
The fact that she
conversations.
was freezing her eggs.
Yeah, they're probably having conversations about Raquel. They're having conversations about how shady Tom Schwartz is. They're having conversations about when he cheated on Kristen. Like, you have such a, like, I don't, again, I feel weird even having to explain this, but like being in a live in relationship with someone is like such a different intimacy than Lala and Sheena seem to be understanding that, like, everything she has known for the past 10 years is a lie,
Hmm.
has been a lie. And so it's like, yeah, she's like, cool, I'm done with this guy, but I do not need him in my life. And like, I don't want to be reminded when fucking Brock wants to bring up Raquel all the ways that this man lied to me and
Right.
like pulled one over on me. Like, that's so
And
silly.
I think it's probably not only frustrating, but probably also a little triggering to have to be the one who has to constantly try to explain this to her
Mhm.
friends. Like
Mhm.
Sheena, she's like, look, I was in love with this man. I
Mhm.
lived with him. I shared a life with him. And in a matter of seconds,
Mhm.
I realized that he has never been who I thought he was.
Mhm. Right.
Nothing I knew about him was true. So
Mhm.
Sheena, he is not the generous person you think he is. He is not the loyal friend that you think he is. I
Mhm.
know that because I saw it happen right before my eyes.
Right.
And so like it's like I don't know, it's like having to like explain the trauma of who this person is when you are
Mhm.
the one most affected by it is not fair. Like she
Right.
doesn't need to have she shouldn't have to explain to everyone why he's a shitbag.
Right.
Like y'all just like cuz it didn't happen to you.
Well, a good segue that Lala doesn't understand. So Lala goes on and on about how basically Ariana's a hypocrite because Tom Sandoval has spent years yelling at women over the seasons, and Ariana has never defended them. She refers to that specific time when Ariana said, like, that's actually one of my favorite things about Tom Sandoval. And Lala said that he yells at women. And she said, no, that he stands up for what he believes in. And my question is much like what you just said. How is it that suddenly Lala does not understand, or might I say, remember, what it is like to be blinded by your love for someone and who you think they are?
That's
Into
also
a
like
place where you're
just
getting
not
fooled.
true.
I mean, she did say that,
No, I know, but like I mean
but
like
has never defended them is not
right,
true.
that's not
Right.
true. Like literally last season she said like I'm not doing this Tom versus the girls thing anymore.
Right. But
Because
it's like how like seriously you like the queen
right,
of emotionally battered women
right.
like cannot understand what it is like to be so invested in someone and who they have tricked you into thinking that they are that you don't see that until they've lied to you, and she makes it out to be this selfish thing that like now that it's her she wants us all to feel
Mhm.
bad for her. No, now that it's her she can see it.
Right.
And if
Like
he's been so awful to you, why do you want to be his friend? So now she's just
right.
on the train that you're saying you've been on for years.
And like earlier we were like we and earlier in the season when people are like if we were friends with Lala's ex, she would have like our heads cut off.
Mm-hmm.
And we were saying like, well, it's different because like Lala has a child with her ex. Lala
Right.
is
A
in
custody
the middle of
battle.
a custody battle with her ex.
He's got money, you know.
Right. Like it's just a different situation with Lala and her ex than it is with Ariana and Tom. But so like I don't want to have to compare the two, but I think
But she won't
that
stop.
right, if she can't see it for Ariana, why she doesn't want people to be friends with him or why she sees more who he is than other people. Like when like she was so pissed at Schwartz last year because Schwartz was still talking to Randall. We could say the same thing. Schwartz has always had a great relationship with Randall. He's always gotten along well with him. They're friends. They play pickleball together. He's a loyal friend to him, like the same things that Sheena's saying about Sandoval. The difference is that Lala knows Randall better than Schwartz does,
Mm-hmm.
and she's saying he's not who you think he is. That's
Mm-hmm.
what Ariana's trying to get at. She's in
Yeah.
a relationship with a narcissist for 10 years,
Who
and
you two
nobody.
episodes ago called a groomer.
I swear to God, like I just don't get it. Like she's like, you're a dangerous fucking person.
And then he
You
hugs
and
her
I
and
was
says he's
right about
sorry. And
it.
she's like, let's get coffee. Like, I'm like,
I was
what?
always right that you were a dangerous fucking person. Tom Sandoval would never try to murder a dog.
Yeah.
What? Cut it out.
Uh, she then talks about how she's being portrayed on this season as jealous and like she doesn't support women anymore.
Mm-hmm.
My response to that is frankly, the show is like small potatoes. compared to how jealous and anti-women she seems in her comments in real time. Like,
Right.
the things that she is posting online and saying in her podcast have been far worse than the weird, like, wanting to hang out with Sheena and Tom, like, thing.
Yeah. And we always say there's like editing a certain way, but you did say all that.
Yeah.
It came
Yeah,
out
and
your
like
mouth.
your confessionals would have been a time to not bring in rehearsed jokes about trash bags if you were supporting your friend. But yeah, kind of the same thing. Me and Billy had this conversation where I was just like, Lala, power to the pussy Lala. Lala, who is literally 2 fucking weeks ago on Watch What Happens Live saying, Brittany, leave your man. I'll tell everybody to leave their man. So you want them to leave them, but like still keep them in their life? Like,
Right.
but don't like throw them away. Just like leave them. Like, I don't get it. Then she kind of admits what we have all suspected, given that her and Tom never actually had a relationship until now, that the reason she wanted Tom back into the fold is that this is a show. I'm paraphrasing here, but this is essentially what she said. This show pays our bills. The show needs to be successful. Obviously, yes, in any other situation, you just like wouldn't have to be around your ex, but Ariana needs to understand that this is a show and this is how we make money. Again, I do not understand how her, Sheena, James do not understand that if they had just said, we will not film with him, then he would have been the one pushed out. You can see at the beginning of the season that producers were preparing for that. They brought in Billy Lee, they brought in Joe, they bring in Ann and Jason. Well, then the whole other cast starts filming with them. We haven't seen those people. Ann,
Mhm.
because she's a star. But we haven't seen anyone else because they don't need them anymore because y'all gave them what they wanted. I also thought it was
Ann is the
fucking,
star.
yeah. I won't talk to him for your friend. You can't even do
Right.
that for her. But
Also,
I won't
like,
film with him.
and I feel like maybe I'm not alone in this. Based on the internet, I would love to watch that man scramble to find friends.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yep.
I would find that so funny
Mm-hmm.
to watch everyone hanging out and they're having their own drama
Mm-hmm.
too. It's not just about him, mostly, but like they're also having their own drama. But it
Katie
would be
would still be fucking
so
Max. Great.
Ariana would still be talking about it, but it would be so funny to watch him like have to find other things to do to be a
Just hang
part of
out with
this show.
Schwartz. Just not
That
get
would
to
be
go to
so
things.
fun.
Yeah.
Like, I just not get invited and
Yeah.
like I've started watching The Real Housewives of Miami, and there's a woman. I'm on season 2 right now. There's a woman. I forgot she was on the fucking show because she got into an argument with someone and she hasn't been on in 3 episodes because no one will talk to her.
Which
She's
one?
a fucking housewife, Alexia.
Mm-hmm.
She's a fucking housewife. And I
Yeah.
forgot they kept talking about her. I was like, "Who is Alexia? Who is that?" I forgot because she hasn't been on in 3 and she's currently a housewife. I'm pretty sure in Miami. Like, so I think we could stand to have some separation
Mm-hmm.
and like it's okay. Like sometimes it feels like we're watching 2 shows with these
Yeah.
casts because there are people who simply don't get along, and
Yeah, and
that's
I think
fine.
production and the cast, meaning Lala and Sheena, have just
Mhm.
like completely missed the mark on what viewers want. And like based on what the internet is saying, like I think everyone agrees that like if it continues this way, like they're gonna lose Katie and Ariana
Yeah,
and no one's gonna watch. Like
I
I'm
like
not interested.
right. Honestly, and they all talk about how like um the idea was to start the Valley and stop Vanderpump Rules
Right.
after this last season, except that the affair happened. If the affair hadn't happened and Vanderpump Rules did get another season, I would still be watching it. Like
Mm-hmm.
I love Vanderpump Rules. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
not like it's not like I'm gonna like Tom Sandoval leaves and I'm like, oh, well, it's gonna be boring now. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
watch it. Like I
Yeah.
love Vanderpump Rules,
I
but
will be
like
so
I
happy.
will at this point. That man is fucking insufferable. If
Yeah.
I have to watch him with no one to combat him, I will stop watching Vanderpump
Yeah.
Rules because like I can't handle this
Yeah.
anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Who here is shocked to find out that Tom Sandoval wears the same pair of underwear for multiple days? Nobody. I'll
I was
answer
a
for
little
you.
shocked.
Oh my God,
But
Mary.
here's why.
Okay.
If my husband was wearing the same pair of underwear for multiple days, there I would do something about it. I would talk to him. I would
You don't know that she didn't.
cut them off of him and throw them away. Like like something's got to give. And the part that shocks me about, like, as I'm learning more and more about how gross he is like, how do you stand to be with a person like that? Like, I truly, like,
He's been in
truly,
multiple
truly,
long-term relationships.
right,
Who is
could
doing that?
not could not imagine at any point
Mm-hmm.
conceding to the idea that my husband wears the same pair of underwear several days in a row. Either I would leave,
Mm-hmm.
or he would have to stop doing that. And,
Mm-hmm.
like, I know that I'm not blaming Ariana for Tom
Mm-hmm.
Sandoval being disgusting, but, like, I just every
So you're telling
every
me
time
Kristen dealt with that? Ariana dealt with
every
that?
time I learn something
Raquel?
new about him, I'm
Yeah.
like, why? Like,
Yeah.
why are we here?
Yucca.
Yeah.
So Ariana and Anne have the
Wait, but
long-awaited what?
sorry. I did like the part where she said, "And y'all wonder why I didn't have sex with him?"
Yeah, which is like honestly, we didn't need to
No.
know that. Like, I get why you don't fuck him with or without the underwear thing.
Mhm.
But certainly a great piece
Yes.
to know.
Mhm.
But yeah, just Tom being himself was enough for me to get it. We get the long-awaited Ariana and Anne conversation uh
Mhm.
about the possibility of Anne becoming her assistant. Where they land is that it would be awkward right now while she's living in the same house with Tom to just kind of
Mhm.
transition over to being hers. But once she moves out, she will keep her in mind and reach back out. Tom Sandoval, meanwhile, was upstairs eavesdropping. And then later we find out that he ended up yelling at Anne and making her cry.
Mhm. Yeah, so you said long awaited. We saw the start of this last week when Ariana called Anne while she was getting ready for the Eras tour. I will say, like the fact that Anne was like, "I'm getting ready for Taylor Swift," and Ariana was like, "Well, anyway, let me chat with you." I was like, "Wait, she's not working. She's fucking busy right now.
Yeah.
Like, call her back."
Yeah.
The hell? She's like clearly so excited about that. She's like, "Oh yes, I have a moment. So sorry. Let me get my pen and paper out." And but she asked if Anne knew any assistants looking, and Anne begged to be in the running. She said, "Oh, Ariana, can I please be in the running?" I love the way Anne talks. She
Yeah.
said, "Can I please be in the running?" She just
Yeah.
like everything sounds so like excited and cute, like Ariana,
Mhm.
please. But yes, so we knew this was coming. We also
Mhm.
knew this was coming because Anne is Ariana's assistant. No.
Mm,
Isn't she?
Ariana says Ariana says like in interviews like technically she's not, but like I don't know if that means I don't know if that means she is doing stuff or something about her. So
Mm,
like she's with Ariana in some realm. I don't know, but up in the air.
okay.
On the one hand, like I have seen a lot of because there is also a fair amount of Ariana hate on the internet. So I have seen a lot of comments just about like how inappropriate that is to have had that conversation in the house. And like on the one hand, sure, like they could have had it elsewhere, but like it's ultimately not Ariana's job to keep it a secret that she's just having a conversation with
Yeah.
her about either other assistants or what she needs or maybe Anne. Um, it is maybe just more on Anne to like know not to have that conversation in front of her boss, but also like I don't know, like
Anne
whatever.
has a terrible boss.
And he's upstairs with a sound machine, like working out at all hours. I don't think she thought about the fact that the suit might tip him off. um, but or the like production, I guess.
I came professional prepared.
But I also like there's like laws against like retaliation, and like finding out that your employee is looking for jobs, even if it is with your competitor, does not warrant yelling at them to the point that they're sobbing.
Right.
So like, I mean, you could, I guess, like let someone go if you find out they
Yeah.
interviewed with the competitor, but like, let's not.
Did she sign a non-compete clause?
Yeah. And then him talking about like, I have an HR department. When Ariana made the joke to Anne when she touched her, she said like, "Don't worry, because I'm HR." And then Tom's out there on the beach, like, there's a process to letting someone go. I have to go through my HR. Okay, whatever.
Well, Tom probably can't be HR because he's an
Yeah.
HR nightmare.
But it was so funny because he said it's a business. We have HR, and like I don't remember who, Sheena or Lala or someone like looked at each other and they said, "Do we have HR departments?" And I'm like, okay. So the result is that Tom, quote, sent her home, but then everyone just starts talking about how she like doesn't work for him anymore. She's gonna start working for something about her, and I was like, where did I miss the being fired?
Yeah.
I thought he just like sent her home for the day because she was crying.
Yeah. At the beach day, they say like that he fired her, and she says that, or he says that that she was not fired, that they are on a break,
Mm-hmm.
which is not how
Work
employment
works.
works.
Mm-hmm.
But that she was dismissed for the day, and he just hasn't needed her to come back yet.
Yeah.
Tom, that woman picks up your underwear.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like, come on.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she hasn't not needed to come back. Like, stop,
Yeah.
don't string her along. Just, if you want to fire her, you know?
Yeah. And then cut straight to the clip of him telling Kyle Chan and Schwartz, Craig is my new assistant. He did not say Craig's going to be working for me for a day or two.
Right.
But
Craig had to go through HR.
uh Tom had some pretty disgusting things to say about Ariana, although upon Instagram lurking today, it may have only been on Peacock. So Peacock,
Yeah, I don't remember him saying this.
yeah, so Peacock released the extended and uncensored version of the episode, so it was 55 minutes. So there's like extra content.
Damn.
But I only watch on Peacock, so lucky me.
Well, because I was gonna say I don't know who Craig is either.
Oh, that's like the main part. Okay, weird. So he says to Kyle and Tom, Craig is my new assistant, who is their friend, I guess. And then at the beach day, Katie says, I met your new assistant, Craig. And he said, he's not my new assistant. Like, he's just helping me out. And she said, so Anne's not fired? And that's when he said, like, whatever. So that's a weird thing for them to cut out.
Unless I just forgot it.
So on the extended version, he is talking to Kyle Chan and Tom about Ariana and basically trying to say that, like, she lets Maya get into stuff all the time, and he does the cat litter, and he does everything around the house, which we've heard a million times. And then he says, I literally don't even know how she wipes her own ass. She's so fucking goddamn lazy. Which we got in its full glory in the uncensored version. And just the vitriol. It was rough. Then Brock is messy as hell, asking Ariana about Anne right in front of Tom. And then at the fucking beach day, he be messy as hell again, asking about Raquel right in front of Ariana. Stop. Sheena did not need any help making Ariana want to dump her. Like, she was doing well enough at that on her own. She did not need her husband to be fucking shit up, too.
Last season, I feel like we were so pro Brock.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we as a nation really liked Brock when he was introduced.
Mm-hmm.
So now for him to just be like so intolerable,
Yeah.
like I don't understand. Like there's not anyone else in that group that would dare to ask Tom about Raquel in front of Ariana.
Yeah. It was kind of hilarious on the after show because people are like, "We're on to you, Brock." He like is trying to make it sound like him and James like okay. So they asked like about like why it would help for Ariana and Tom to be able to get along. And he was like, "Well, James and I just really want the group to all be back together. Like we like because Sheena asked to uninvite Tom to beach day and Brock was like, no, we should invite Tom. And he was like, because James and I just really want, and he's like, James is literally playing on his phone while Brock is saying this on the after show. And then he like looks up and it's like so weird the way he's like trying to pretend like him and James are like doing the same thing. Like James is hanging out with them, but I don't know.
He's trying to like build him and James up to be the new Tom and Tom.
Yeah. So Ariana tells Brock that the attempted dog murderer made Anne cry. True. Tom tells Ariana to put on her big girl panties and reply to an email, to which she reminds him her lawyer will do that. Uh, my lawyer will be dealing with you.
Send it to Daryl.
Mm-hmm. Lala, in a whole shit ton of irony, says, well, that's not really your lawyer's job. The woman who sells Send It to Daryl merch.
Right.
She also says that it is Ariana's fault, really, that Maya ended up almost dying because she left takeout trash in her room, even though she shut the door behind her and had no inkling that anyone would be going into her room. And I like understand. Lala kept saying like, "We didn't do it on purpose." Like she's not accusing him of doing it on purpose. She said he was so
Right.
irresponsible.
Right.
I also get that like mistakes happen, and like if that
Mm-hmm.
were your husband, like there would probably be some sort of understanding of like, damn, I shouldn't have let the food out. You shouldn't have let the dog in. That sucks. But like, why are we expecting her to give grace to this man?
Right.
Ever.
Right. I agree. Yeah, I was like, to be honest, I feel like yes, you should throw your trash away. Specifically as a person who has dogs who will eat literally anything you have out. I like a couple months ago had to call poison control because my dog ate an entire bag of Reese's peanut butter like little shape things and the tinfoil wrappers that they were in. Was concerned.
Mm-hmm.
I get it. But you have to know your dogs. But also, I have never shared a home with someone that I don't want to speak to or look at.
Or who has no access to certain rooms in the house.
Right.
Like you
So
would not
like
leave trash because like even if you shut the door, Sammy might leave the door, but like that is a room that no one else in that house should be opening. Yeah, I think it's just like it's different when like a house is free reign for both
right.
people. It's like these have essentially become apartment units for them
Mhm.
with like a common areas, and like
Mhm.
that room is off limits to another person. So you assume that the way you left it is the way that it will stay.
Right. And I also like I think somebody said like online like are we not taking into consideration that Ariana has been leaving trash in her room instead of like going out into the
Mm-hmm.
common area to throw it away like that should be easy enough but like she like for whatever reason she
She
does
doesn't
not
want
want
to
to
go
be
down there.
around this person, she does not want to be where he is, and so she's
Right.
having to let it pile up for a while. Honestly, at this point she needs to get a trash can for her room,
Mm-hmm.
but whatever. But also I feel like this is the kind of thing that Tom should be asking Anne to mediate, like,
Mm-hmm.
hey, tell Ariana I need to go into her room. I need to get to the AC unit because I understand that he needed to fix something and he had to get in there for whatever reason. But then that's the kind of thing that you should be telling her that you're going to go in her room. And then that way Ariana could know about it and she could say, oh, hey, I have some trash from whatever place. Make sure Maya doesn't go in there.
Mm-hmm.
Or if Maya goes in there, keep an eye on her. Or if Maya goes in there, make sure she comes back out.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, I agree that it's the type of thing that shouldn't be happening when you have a go-between. I also think, like, it's a little nuts, the response that
Yeah.
she has gotten. "You don't throw your trash away?" It is not like it was in there for freaking weeks.
Right.
It was from a drunken night out the night before.
Right.
Like, you are telling me that you've never left. I get it, like, you're saying your experience is like, "I know my dogs would eat this,"
Well, but also I will
but
admit I have a empty pizza box from last night's dinner sitting on my end table right now.
yeah, but it's like the idea that, like, in college when I had my own room, that I did not have takeout in my room for maybe a couple days after
Mhm.
McDonald's wrappers after I was drunk, like, that's ridiculous to be
Right.
like, "Oh my god, you woke up and did something the next morning and you didn't throw your trash away?" Like,
Yeah.
fuck off.
I agree. I think like also I will say that when I think about like cleaning things up for the sake of my dogs, it's in rooms that they have access to.
Mhm. Not in rooms that are
My
closed.
dogs, right, my dogs don't go in my bedroom typically because the door is closed. Or
Mhm.
like the bathroom. Like my dogs don't go in, we don't let them go in the bathroom because they drink out of the toilet and they take things out of the trash cans and whatever. So we keep the bathroom doors closed. So I will sometimes like I when I get ready in the morning, I drink an Olipop and I'll leave cans on cans on cans in the bathroom and throw them away at the end of the week. But it doesn't matter because I'm the only one that's going in there
Mhm.
and it
Right.
doesn't affect anybody. But if I'm leaving, if I'm walking out of the living room and they have free reign of it, I'm gonna throw something away. So if she was like leaving the house
Mhm.
for the day and locking her room up, then of course she doesn't feel the need to hide something from Maya because she's not supposed to be in there.
Yeah. Uh, this water event and then also the beach day, Ariana yells Tom out entirely, which is like good for her. She
Yeah.
has gotten some grief about saying she was gonna call 911. Like, let the girl
Yeah.
be hyperbolic. Like, fuck off.
Can can I ask you a question?
Mm-hmm.
Do we think it was insensitive of Katie to say that the water tasting event was nothing like or nothing comparable to a wine tasting when it was hosted by a sober person?
No.
Okay. Because that kind of cracked me up.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
I feel like I agree.
I think there are like I think it's funny because, like, I
Yeah.
think there are other sober tastings that could happen,
Yeah. Yeah.
juices or, like, whatever. I think that, like,
Flavored water.
it is kind of humorous to think
Yeah.
that they were tasting, like some of them were flat water. So
Right.
they're, like, tasting like, it's not even like a sparkling water taste
Right.
test, like, they're just water.
It was kind of
I
weird to
thought it was
watch. And
funny.
Katie was so relatable this episode, talking about how she doesn't
Mhm.
understand people who think exercise is fun, and then being like, "I don't want to sit around and taste water."
Mhm. Yeah.
I thought it was funny that Sheena brought a drink specifically to put in the sparkling water.
Mhm. Yeah, I also so, like, about Ariana yelling Tom out of events, I want to, like, mention this, like, secondary, like, consequence, I don't know, result of the scandal that people are, like, forgetting, her castmates are forgetting, is
Hmm.
that, like we said, I think it is totally fair that, like, she is still dealing with the fact that she's been lied to for 10 years. This is, like, gut wrenching to think how what a fool she's been made from this, like all of this stuff. But then it's like a secondary pain and heartbreak because now you're the villain and you're the one
Hmm.
who's dramatic and you're the one doing the yelling and look at Tom being all calm while Ariana's just they're like the rage in her eyes like and
Hmm.
I think this is exactly why she didn't want him in the group. And at one point someone said like, could you I think you need to have a productive conversation and she said I can't do that. And I think
Hmm.
that was like so real of her to just be like, no, like I'm not being stubborn, like he walks into a room and this is what happens. I cannot do that. And the way that y'all could have avoided this is by not bringing him places when I asked you not to bring him places. But instead, they're all going to make her out to be can't let it go, dramatic, over the top, she's being mean, like, and that's just like a secondary thing that he has done to her. Not only did he ruin her life and fuck her best friend and make her lose the house of her dreams and almost kill her dog, but now he is truly turning her friends, and if production had their way, seems America against her. And like, not happening. It's not happening. I will note, although I don't even remember what I was talking about when I wrote this, but I'll give the credit anyway. Sheena defended Ariana to Brock weekly. It was a puny effort, but she did it, and I wrote it down so that we could. Good job, Sheena. A good question that is posed by Lisa Vanderpump herself is about why Brock is not offended that Sheena is tracking her ex. She had talked on the after show about how Brock is the reason she's not allowed to make out with women anymore, because that just like doesn't work with him. Whatever.
I also just have an issue, I think, with straight women wanting to make out with other women for fun.
She did say she was dating a woman before she dated Brock.
Oh.
So I will say that, like, I think it is like, it's obviously up to each couple and whatever, and but like I understand that, like, as a bisexual woman, if that is how she identifies, that like that would be a problem for him.
Yeah.
However, like, it is weird to me that like it's a problem when she makes out with like her friends while she is dating him. Like, she makes out with like Ariana and Dana, but then he's like, but yeah, keep tracking the guy that you like were in love with for a whole season. Sounds like Katie and Ariana might be able to hire Anne for something about her, and kind of like we mentioned earlier, maybe they have. On the beach day, Ariana finally breaks down and just like pleads with her friends, like, please stop putting me in this situation. I don't think they're getting it, but like, good for her for like finally like putting it on them, as like, you're doing this. On the after show, Tom Sandoval says that to Tom Schwartz, I would not be okay if my ex slept with one of my best friends 2 weeks. But it wasn't 2 weeks that she slept with Max.
Unless it was 2 weeks after it was finalized.
Maybe, but he says that he would not be okay with his ex sleeping with one of his best friends shortly after they divorced or broke up. He said, specifically, it would be really fucking weird if you dated Ariana or if I dated Katie. But apparently it is okay to have a full-blown affair with his current girlfriend's best friend. Not shortly after they broke up, but while they're still together. That's cool.
Yeah. Imagine knowing that you were fucking your girlfriend's best friend for 7 months and then thinking that you get to have an opinion on how long you have to wait for a divorce to be over to fuck within the friend group. That's crazy. And it's again like one of those things that's like, how do you exist in the world? How do you carry on life with this tiny ass little brain you have? Like, to not understand that, like, you can't say that.
Like, as it comes out of your mouth, you're not like, that's not gonna work.
Right. Like, oh wait, that sounds silly of me to say.
Yeah. Hey, someone else should say this.
Yeah. There are times where like I am like just so distracted at work, and then I like find myself telling my kids to pay attention, and I'm like, that was bold of me.
Yeah.
That was crazy that I said that right now.
Yeah. On to the Valley, which is really a whole episode about one thing.
Yeah.
So we find out what the blow up was the week before, where Zach says, I did not say that. And I didn't mean to give him that voice. But maybe I should. He said, I did not say that.
Sounds
and
the same.
No, it didn't. It's fine. Basically,
I did not say that.
That's better. I forget he's country too. We basically spend the whole episode in a large game of telephone about whether or not Michelle is racist, or better yet, whether or not someone said she was.
Right.
We never actually get to like if she is or not. So story 1. So this is one way on the telephone wire. Kristen heard from Zach, who heard from Jasmine, that Janet said that Michelle was a Republican, and so probably a racist, and Jasmine should be careful. Now, Jasmine is Black. She is also gay in some way. So
she said
that
she's bisexual.
Will make more sense as we get to the next story version of this.
She also, though, she has a female partner.
Oh, yeah, I forgot she had said, because I was going to say, no, she said she's fluid, but she said, I guess if you're going to make me pick a label.
I had to label it, yeah.
Yeah, so.
But yeah, she has
a girlfriend.
A long-term girlfriend. So, like, she is
living life as.
Right.
Yeah. Everyone is mad at Kristen for mentioning this on camera is the implication, and she thinks that they should be mad at the people who said it, not at her. Sure, I shouldn't have mentioned it, but
also, and like what I think that what was, I don't really like Kristen in general. Not a huge Dodie fan, but I was getting
people be gaslighting Dodie though.
I was getting so frustrated throughout that episode of everyone saying to Kristen that they said that, and then in front of everyone being like, I did not say that.
Zach, yeah.
I was like, stop.
And I feel like no one really like made Jasmine answer any of it. Like I was like, okay. So the second version of the story is that Michelle said to Janet that she thinks Don't Say Gay bills actually protect children. Janet says that in that moment, I said, like, oh, no, like, I don't know what you've heard, but, like, no, that's not what they do. So Janet told Jasmine.
I don't know what you've heard.
I don't know where you get your. She literally said in a clip, like, I just thought she had ended up on a bad algorithm or something. I was like, look at her, little benefit of the doubt, girly. So Janet told Jasmine that she wonders why Michelle thinks that, and if it comes up, maybe it could be a teachable moment. That seems unlikely that you said that part.
Also, like, again,
not Jasmine's job.
Right. Like, why are we putting that on Jasmine? Like, oh, well, I'm not gay. So maybe if she
you could have taught her.
You can talk to her about it, because I'm not talking to her about it.
Yeah.
But I will say, if I like, they're like, it's so like, they're like, it's so crazy that like Kristen jumped to this conclusion. And I was like, no, I think if someone said that they were pro Don't Say Gay bills, I would also conclude that they were a Republican. And maybe had some sort of racist bone in their body.
Unless I like knew other beliefs of theirs and that seemed like really weird for them.
Right.
And I was like, oh, like, I don't think you understand.
I don't think that I would think a half Mexican, half Persian person is racist.
Typically, yeah.
I do think that that's worth pointing out, that I wouldn't think that part, but I would probably conclude that they were a Republican.
Yeah. So I think the teachable moment was maybe a little overcompensating on Janet's part. You're telling me you did not go to Jasmine and say, yo, Michelle thinks Don't Say Gay bills protect children. That's fucking crazy. Like, you were talking shit a little bit. Like, that's fine. So apparently Jasmine told Zach, who told Kristen. And this is where we end up. Now, Zach adds, like, a caveat to this because he keeps saying, like, many conversations were had that Kristen has, like, mixed all together and made into a mess. So I'm like, what are the other conversations that we don't
Right.
know about? So it sounds to me that Zach's basically admitting, like, we were all then gossiping about it. There were lots of
Mhm.
other conversations. Maybe Jasmine told Zach the story, and Zach said, damn, is she a Republican? And if she's homophobic, like, maybe she's racist too, like, maybe in other conversations. Um, but then we end the episode getting into Kristen's termination from Vanderpump Rules in 2020 and her subsequent cancellation.
I was canceled.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
We're
saying that the
apparently
word
not going to talk about Brittany and Jax, though.
right. Saying that the worst thing someone can be called is racist is such a choice.
Mm-hmm.
Because like do you realize like what's coming out of your mouth? Like again, it's like one of those things like when you talk, do you hear yourself?
They did not tell you in unconscious bias training that that's not the worst thing you could be called
Right.
ever.
I've heard some people called terrible things.
Yeah. Mm.
Yeah, that was I was like part of me was like maybe I don't want them to just maybe I just don't want them to talk about this because like this is not good for her if they really want
Mm-mm.
us to want her back, but also like maybe we need to see that she's not the
Yeah, or like this is gonna sound weird because like we don't need it, but like as just like an entertainment value, like it could be like a nice closure on the whole like
Mhm.
chapter that we were all going, why did they hire these people back that they fired for racism? And maybe if they're gonna like address it on the show and maybe she can have some sort of redemption on the
Yeah.
show, then we can
The
like
headlines
understand it. But
the headlines just like popping up while she
uh-huh.
was on the couch was so weird.
Yeah. But I'm like, y'all
Whatever.
missed an opportunity. Obviously, not asking to re-traumatize someone, but like
Yeah.
when Kristen said the worst thing you could ever be called is racist, you didn't want to cut to like Zach and Jasmine, like naming some things they've been called that
Right.
might be worse than that. They probably have a few, but
It
okay.
it baffles me every time somebody says that. Like I was called one of the worst things you can be called. Like they accused me of being a racist and I'm like,
Mhm.
do you realize?
Mhm. Yeah.
But okay.
Yeah.
Um we learned about like social justice the last couple weeks in school and we learned about Cesar Chavez and most of my kids are Hispanic and they were really into learning about Cesar Chavez and then we got to a part where he was answering a question in class and he had like gotten distracted, I guess, and so he answered it in Spanish instead of in English. And his teacher made him wear a sign all day long that said, "I am a clown. I speak Spanish." And my
Mm.
kids were like, they were like, "What? Why would a teacher do that?" I was like, "Could you imagine?" And they were like, "You would never do that. Like, why would a teacher do that to someone?" And they were like so upset. And like, I think that would be worse than
Mhm.
being called racist is being a child called a
Mhm.
clown for
Yeah,
speaking
it's
another
maybe
language
like the worst thing you could be called like for your reality TV career.
or as a
Sure.
white person.
Yeah. I don't even know. I'm like, I don't know. I feel like I could come up with some really mean things
There
to say
we
to white women.
I was listening to a podcast and they were talking about like it was a crime podcast but it was about an older crime and it was about the thing they said like that this Italian person was called a slur but they didn't want to say what it was and I was like what are Italian slurs and I looked them up. They're horrible.
Mhm.
A lot of slurs based on the idea that Italians fuck goats,
Oh.
apparently.
Mm.
So yeah, I mean, it could be worse, Kristen.
Yeah.
And like
Could be.
I have a
Believe it or
little
not.
girl in my class that always says like so and so called me a snail, and I always say, well, are you a snail? If you're not a
Mhm.
snail, then don't worry about it. If you're not a racist, pish posh.
Mhm.
Who cares what they call you? Prove it. Stop all this crying on TV.
True.
Okay.
Okay. Quickness.
That's all.
All right, guys. Bye.
Bye.